misleading people, and I think it's silly. I actually did a study on my own. I can say some of this later. Yeah.
Well, what's up? And welcome back to the Pro Shop inside Franklin
Pro
Bridge.
Shop. Just the way you said that was so like, welcome back to the Pro Shop. Cool, man.
I mean, it's
Which
just,
one?
it's just where we're at right now.
I love this painting, by the way.
Pro Shop here at Franklin Bridge. You need to shoot more content in here right here. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I want to be in it when you're doing it.
Jack's like, I just love being
It's
in
just
here.
it's a great place. Jeez.
Welcome to the bridge.
I just got like so emotional about this place.
Did you really? Dude,
Well,
that's
it's like,
awesome.
It's just like you just feel good. I mean, it's just a place where like I learned to play golf. I feel like everybody has that in like some way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter like if it's where you learn to play golf, but if you like there's certain places that just
nostalgia
feel
of
good.
the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like things take you down memory lane a little bit. And
Yeah, I think what makes it a little bit better for me is like I walked into this pro shop getting a bucket of balls when I couldn't get 5 shots up in the air, and now I'm sitting here like with the golf pro here at the shop when I'm actually like not the worst golfer that I know.
No,
so it's
we
just
had
like,
some fun hitting it far the other day.
We did. But it's like that place that you make so much growth in your lifetime, wherever that is and whatever facet that is. I feel like that's always going to be like a certain a good place in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about something that's not so emotional here on this.
I'm emotional about it.
That's true.
But
That's true. But before we get into that, thank you guys for watching, listening, subscribing, wherever you guys are at. Check us out. We're actually filming this one on YouTube. The last one didn't quite make it, but this one is going to be fantastic. It's actually going on YouTube. You can find us. You can just search the Champions Playbook on YouTube, and you can always catch Scott at SHassey Golf on Instagram, where we have great freaking content.
you're going to see me get really passionate about this one if you go to YouTube. Like, don't just listen to me. Like,
you
you're
gotta
going to get to
you gotta
see
watch
me.
the body language.
Oh,
I gotta make sure that
drives me
Scott's.
nuts.
I gotta make sure that Scott's mic is turned down so that he doesn't
sorry.
yell into it. No, I'm
gonna
just
hold
kidding.
it like 12
No. I was just saying that as a precursor to what I think you're actually going to start talking about, because we're talking about golf stats in an era where DeChambeau's hitting the ball 400 yards. All these club manufacturers are putting such an emphasis on what they can do for your game in terms of metrics. We're all worried about hitting a certain club a certain distance. The game has gone away from feel and less into facts. And I feel like I'm very confident saying that. For the most part, if you talk about where these club manufacturers are going in terms of what they claim that they can do for your game. And so what we're going to talk about here today is talking about the stats that matter on tour and why you should pay attention to some of them and why you should think that the others are complete crap.
Yes.
And I think that's
he said it first.
And I think that's
yes.
I think that's a great place. I think that's a great place to start because Scott's obviously so passionate about this topic. I think it's fantastic now that I've kind of come to understand what this article in Golf Digest or Golf World?
Golf World, but it's Golf
Inside
Digest.
of Golf
it's all,
Digest, right?
Yeah.
It's all in the same thing. But we're going to talk about some of these metrics, what it means, what you should pay attention to when you're kind of, quote unquote, digesting the golf lingo in terms of what is going to be
data and
right, and what's going to be more emphasized going into this year's tour season.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do this in 3 functions.
Okay.
We're working on me not rambling quite as much. So
Yeah.
we're going to do this in 3 functions.
Okay.
First one is I'm going to explain what the data came out with, what they showed,
Yep.
what it means.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go why I don't like it, and I think most of it's a crock of crap for those that are trying to get better at the game.
Yep.
And the third one is going to be what do you
What does
do?
that mean? Yeah.
What does that mean for me? That's the
Right.
problem with most of this stuff. People don't know. Go like, okay, well, what does that mean for me?
Right.
So,
And I feel like that's where a lot of people get turned off too. It's because they're like, I don't know what this means. I'm not good enough to know to even have this apply to me, so I'm not even going to pay attention to it. And I don't think the golf world is doing a great job of understanding that them using these stats to kind of arbitrarily rank these, players, like it just doesn't make sense at the end of the day. Like literally simplify it so much. I feel like this is a lot of sports want to put so many stats and figures out there to, make the game feel a certain way. When in reality, the people that are consuming it, unless you're a huge mega fan or you're really good at the game or both, you don't care. And you don't have the mental process to even understand what all these kind of aggregate to.
So here's the other thing. Well, I'll get into this. Okay, so
Number one.
Number one, what is the data? What does it mean? Before we do that, I actually did a study on this same kind of thing when I was in college.
Okay.
As a part of learning regression analyses and all that in my mathematics and economics classes. So they're doing a regression analysis.
A lot of big words. We're going to simplify it.
Yeah. So basically what regression analysis does is it basically says this component here is responsible for this. This one's responsible for that. It basically takes out all the noise.
It takes tons of data and makes sense of it.
Yeah. It simplifies it into, okay, this affects the outcome, that doesn't.
Right.
And gives specific values to how valuable that actually is.
So that in the end, the player or the person trying to digest this data can now get better knowing that this is valuable data that he can actually use to be better.
I'm weak in this area. I'm strong in that area. Therefore, I need to get better at this, and I'll be – this will translate to more wins, more dollars, whatever.
And it's going to work.
Yeah. So when I did this study, trying to figure out what was the largest determiner in dollars earned on the PGA Tour.
I like this.
Okay.
Because the thing about regression analyses is that you can put some of these variables that you don't even think has a correlation to each other and prove that they have a correlation to each other.
Correct. Or prove that they don't. Or ones that we think, oh, you know, drive for show, putt for dough. Okay, well, let's see if putting really proves, like being better at putting really proves that you're going to make more money on the tour.
Right.
Well, doing that study, you know how many, you know what we found was the number one indicator to making more money on the tour?
What's that?
Finishes in tournaments.
Okay.
Higher your finish, the more money you made.
So now for me as a...
No putting, no chipping, no bunker play, no out of the rough, no driving, no left fairway, right fairway, wedges in, how far you hit it, how short you hit it.
Well, now hold on.
None of that had a direct correlation.
There you go.
A direct correlation to more dollars earned on the tour.
That's what I wanted you to say. It doesn't have a direct correlation.
Correct.
Now, what does have a direct correlation on dollars on tour is finishes, right?
Correct.
And so now we have to break the data down even more and say, now what determines a good finish?
None of the
tour?
data does. There's no significant factor that says if I'm better, if I'm really good in this area, I'll make more money on tour. You cannot isolate them, which means that they all interact with each other to a very similar degree to cause the outcome.
Yeah. Now
it's not any one. And I'm going to get into why I think this is crap.
Okay.
So, the top 6, golf stats that matter most on the PGA Tour, other than official money and official world golf ranking, which are official world golf ranking is an outflow of money and finishes.
Yeah.
Which we're back to my original point.
Exactly.
The top 6 are strokes gained approach the green, strokes gained off the tee, scoring average, strokes gained total, strokes gained around the green, and strokes gained tee to green. FYI, if you know what strokes gained are and you can explain it to me, have fun. Props to you, okay? So most people don't know what strokes gained are. So give you a very simple example. If Jack and I are playing in a golf tournament on the PGA Tour and there's 200 players playing in the event, and we're putting from 10 feet and we have 20 putts from 10 feet that week, and the average tour player makes 50%, let's say, from 10 feet that week. If I make 67% that week, then my strokes gain number will be positive because I'm making more than those players are from that distance.
You're gaining strokes on the competition.
I'm gaining strokes. But if I only make 33% from that distance, then I'm losing strokes relative to the average that week. The strokes gained changed from week to week. Now, when they did this is strokes gained for the entire year. So here's the funny thing about strokes gained.
Broken down by day, right? Not by tournament.
Yeah, so they break it down by day. When you see it on your app, it's by the day. So it says like gained plus 1.48. It's not based on the average for the whole year. It's based on the average that day of everybody playing.
Yep.
So strokes gained approach the green, strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained total, strokes gained around the green, strokes gained tee to green. Doesn't that? And then the other one is scoring average.
You know what it sounds like,
If you're
Scott?
better at all of those, of course your scoring average is
here's
going
what
to be
I was going to
lower.
say. You know what it sounds like?
Shoot a lower score.
It sounds like golf.
Right.
if you're better off the tee, if you're better with your irons, if you're better putting, what does that sound like? That sounds like being good at golf to me.
And then they say, well, look which one's not in there, putting. Let me tell you this about putting on the tour. From 3 feet, tour players make 99.7%. That's the average.
Yeah.
What's the difference between dead last and first is not even a stroke for the entire year.
Right.
Like, it's so negligible in putting. They're all so scary good in putting. It's ridiculous. That's what people don't understand. It's like, yeah, on one week they probably make more putts on weeks that they play better. Of course, it's obvious. But if you look at the strokes gained, this is my fun one. Pay attention and you'll figure out that this is all crap, okay? They don't tell you what strokes gained actually means. You can go and search it and you can find it.
Yeah.
But they don't actually explain it week to week so that you understand what it means. Oh, look, strokes gained tee to green so much better. Well, yeah.
And it's kind of sad that an article that really emphasizes these statistics is not going to tell you what the statistic even means.
No.
Which gets really frustrating from a reader standpoint because you're like, I just read a whole dang article that I don't even know what it means.
And it's misleading.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're 3-putting a whole bunch, you need to work on your putting.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't mean ignore your putting. If you can't make putts inside of 10 feet very often, you need to work on your putting.
Yeah.
Like, it's misleading people to look at things that they don't need to be looking at. But so basically strokes gained are just scoring average. Yeah, if your scoring average is lower, yeah, you're going to make more money because you're going to be, but like no one of those stats says, okay, driver. It doesn't say strokes gained approach to green. It doesn't say how far you hit it. Obviously, that's kind of calculated in, but it's not. Does hitting it further, does missing it on the left or the right half have a bigger matter? Does it matter how far your second? Like, all of that kind of stuff is kind of included, but kind of not.
And golf is a game of variables, right? So it doesn't matter if, like, how are you going to measure your driver? Are you going to measure it left, right, and center? Are you going to measure it far and short? Mm-hmm. How are you going to measure your approach shots? Are you going to measure them? Because each shot is different. Are you going to measure them from a perfect lie in the middle of the fairway? Or are you going to measure one from the left side rough hitting through 2 trees? You know, it's like there's no real way and no concrete way to isolate these variables to the point where any of these statistics really make too much sense.
Right. So I'm looking up, I'm trying to find this account. They do a great job of talking about strokes gained from week to week. If I can find it, I'll post a link to it in the notes on YouTube. But there's there was a group that on their Instagram account, what they would do is they would post for the winner that week. They would put what his strokes gained putting were, where strokes gained driving, approach the green, and around the green and putting. So they would put all those together and show you what his strokes gained were. Well, there were tournaments they won where they lost strokes in a certain area. You could, like, that's the beauty of the game of golf is no 67 round is made up exactly the same.
You just got to be better.
You have to know that day what's best to do. You watch this happen in football. Hey, you know what? These plays aren't running very well. Normally these plays run really great against that defense. Well, it ain't working today, so you gotta navigate because there's one rule in football: it's score more points than the other team.
Yeah, it's like if it's pouring down rain, obviously you're not going to be passing it as much as you usually do.
Right.
It's just win.
Yeah. And then those certain run plays you normally like may not work, but this one may work.
So before we go into the second part of this so what in the end is the determining factor, and can we even use data to measure being good at golf?
I think the thing that makes people great at golf, and this is where Tiger was exceptional, is he could win with whatever was needed, whatever formula was needed that day in that tournament to make it work. There are tournaments that Tiger himself has described. There are guys out here playing checkers. There are guys out here playing chess. And there's only a couple of us out here playing elite chess. He's playing a different game. He's going, hey, you know what? I don't have this part of my game today, but I do have this. Yeah,
or it's like Brooks Koepka saying, like, you know, I'm just better than half the field.
He came up with
a quarter of them are gonna, or 3/4 of them are not gonna have their best tournaments of the year. A quarter of them, I'm just gonna be able to like outplay them on certain shots, and so that only like limits the field. It's like he literally says I'm literally only playing with a couple of people out here. I'm really only trying to beat a couple of people out here.
And he's particularly talking about major championships, which require a whole another level of awareness and skill set. So
yeah.
coming in book 2, as I had mentioned in one of our other podcasts recently, is I have 2 stats that I track why those strokes gained approach to green. Why were his approaches to the green better?
So
What kind of shot was he trying to hit from there? We don't know.
So you
We don't know
have
if he's trying to hit it high, low, draw, fade. We don't know what kind of player it was out of that kind of rough or that kind of lie. Was the ball below his feet, side hill? Where was the pin relative to that? Like, there's so many other factors that go in from a strategic standpoint that aren't accounted for in these stats.
So what I hear is you have 2 stats that people can take and become better golfers.
Yep, but I'm not going to share them yet because that's book 2. It is nobody else is tracking it. Anywhere that I look, I try and pull it out. Nobody's tracking it. It's all based on
This
strategic
podcast,
decision making.
I'm sorry for the viewers out there. This podcast was about to be so good, and now you can probably just turn it off if you want to.
Oh man, no, but there are, and so like there's a few number of people that know about this because I've been testing it, and it is fantastic in terms of being able to figure out why the strokes gained approach to green were that good, why the strokes gained off the tee were that good. It actually gives clarity to the data. Data tells us what happened. It doesn't tell us why.
If you want those 2 things, I'm going to ask Scott after the podcast. You can DM me at DJBeard. I will sell them to you for a price.
Would you like to sponsor the podcast? I will pay you. You'll have to pay us to get those.
Pay us to get the answers.
To get the answers. But, hey, that might be a way to get more people on the
get
some sponsors.
Once the book comes out, we'll be able to do a whole podcast topic on it.
The book 2 takes strategy and individuality for each player to a whole nother level and takes all the data that's currently out there, which is awesome, by the way. I love data. Keep in mind, like, I'm a data nerd, and this is just completely misleading.
There's also a difference between data and then effective data. Data that you can learn from. And that's the whole reason why we do these regression analyses, is to understand what data is useful and what data is not.
Well, scoring average is going to help.
Well, shooting a better score is going to help me win more dollars.
No, that's why I said there's one rule. Like, I've seen rounds where guys go, I only hit 7 greens today and I shot 67. Well, that doesn't support strokes gained approach to green.
Looks like you one-putted from a bunch of very hard places today.
Yeah, and you got up and down from a lot of places. You don't shoot 67, not getting up and down. So it's like, oh, yeah, well, that would support the strokes gained around the green. Yeah, but he didn't have all the others, so he was severely deficient in the others.
You can see where this takes a big avalanche here.
Oh, gosh. Sorry. I just don't like misleading people, and I don't like data that
dirty data
really isn't helpful at all.
Yeah. So what's part 2 to this?
Well, that kind of was part 2.
So we're talking about part 2, which is like what
is
actually
bad.
What is it? Right. So now we're going into part 3.
Part 3 is, so what do you do about this, right? So how do I want to say this? First off, the data is accurate in the sense of what they're saying.
Correct.
It's very, very misleading, and basically it is, when you have a better week, you're going to win more golf tournaments. # shoot a lower score.
Yeah.
So what do you do about this? When you look at your rounds, sure, track your greens in regulation, track your fairways in regulation, track your putts. Here's the cool part about the I almost said the stats. These 2 stats that I have, it's if I have those 2 stats plus scoring average, I can determine very closely how many putts you had, how many greens you had, and how many fairways you hit. And not only that, I can tell you why all of that happened.
This is good. If you think you know one of these stats, go ahead and DM us on Instagram. SIC Golf.
If you're in one of my special classes here, you'll know what these are, and I'll be impressed with you if you can shoot me a direct message. You can send it to Jack or to me.
Yeah.
What's yours again?
I think it's just _JBeard.
Oh, I'm so afraid of saying that wrong. Put the underscore in the wrong place.
I know, right? Yeah.
The _JBeard. So what do you do about it? So when you look at your rounds, sure, track your fairways in regulation, greens in regulation, putts. Track your penalty strokes. Some people track like errors, like silly mistakes, like, oh, I two chipped. Well, I don't know if it's a silly mistake. You just hit a bad shot. But
Yeah.
when you look at your rounds, go, well, why did that happen? Why did out here on number 9 the other day I hit it in the water on the right? Well, right as I took the club back, I hit it in the water in there, and I don't know how many rounds. Right as I took the club back, I just had this thought about the water on the right. And my ball went straight at it. Just straight right. Like, you're not dropping up there, you're re-teeing. That's how bad it was. But then I hit another one, just pipe it down the middle. So the reason it went there was because I didn't have the focus that I needed to hit a good shot. I got distracted. Now, sometimes you hit a bad shot because you're human and you just hit a bad shot. Now, if you hit a bad shot and aim it in a bad place, great. Sometimes you aim it in a bad place and you get away with it and you happen to shake a birdie out of it. You get a good break or a bad break. Like, you have to start looking at your rounds and ask, why were my greens that good? Why were my fairways that bad? Why was my putting that good? What was I missing? Well, I didn't warm up on my putting at all today, and it took me 6 holes to get my putting adjusted, and I 3-putted 3 times in the first 3 holes.
Yeah.
In the first 6 holes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's why my putting stats look worse today. So, like, you need to give clarity to your data. Remember, data tells us, by and large, it tells us what happened. It doesn't tell us why it happened. So, it does give us a little bit of why, but it doesn't give us full clarity. Data tells us what happened, but not why it happened. So if you look and go, well, we lost money this month. Well, why? That's what people will ask. Well, because I spent more money than I took in. Would you take in the normal amount? Yeah, I actually took in a little bit more, but I spent more too. Well, why'd you spend more?
Because I took in more or something. Whatever.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I was making more money, so I figured I could probably get a little more. Or, you know what? We had an emergency with a car, and I had to take it in and get it fixed. Well, that would be an emergency. Or I just felt like we were making more, and so, like, I went out to eat a couple of times. Like, you got to give it clarity. So data tells us what happened, not why it happened. So for you, when you track your stats, this is your takeaway. Track your stats. It's great. But start asking the question, why it happened. This isn't going to give you the 2 stats, but this is going to get you in a whole lot better direction. Don't just keep your stats. They don't tell the whole story. They just don't. I'm sorry.
That's a great place to end right there.
So I'm kind of sorry about my passion about this, but I'm not, because I don't want to mislead people.
Well, you don't want to mislead people for sure, and you want to make sure that they're taking the best steps to improve their game, which this article, for example, is claiming that they understand why you're not playing the way that you should, but in reality, they have no idea why you're not playing the way you should. Because guess what? You can't also, and this might be a part of the 2 stats, you can't take a big generalization, and that's why they included literally every single shot that you can make off the tee with your irons, approach shots, putting. Like, that just sounds like golf. And so, of course, this article is just going to...
simplicity of that.
It's just going to, like... You're literally writing an article about how to be good at golf from a statistics standpoint, and, like, you're not giving any concrete reasoning how to get better, right? And they're just claiming, like, well, this is why you suck. Yeah. That's what this article is really saying.
Yeah, this is why you suck and why they're all really good.
Exactly. So we'll end on that. As always, follow us on YouTube, The Champions Playbook. Instagram, SHassy Golf is going to be Scott's Instagram. _JBeard is going to be mine. If you have another social media that we should be on, let us know. We want to do it. I think we might put some stuff. We're going to put some stuff on Snapchat. We're going to put some stuff on TikTok. I got some good ideas coming down the pipe. We're going to test it out on the Champions Playbook and see if it works.
Oh, man, here we go.
Here we go. We'll see you on the next one. It's been Jack and Scott from Inside the Pro Shop here at Franklin Bridge. See you on the next one. Peace.